Okay, guys, hello there. Hopefully, I'm coming through. I look a little red. I'm just gonna adjust my color. My saturation is over the top. I look like a tomato. Oh my gosh. I have a show plan for you. So, my notes are in the comments here. Okay, hold on a second. I'm sorry about that, guys. So, I look a little bit red. I'm just gonna adjust my color. My saturation. Red like a tomato. And then, of course, I'm broadcasting through. I've got my show notes in the comments, so I've got a lot to talk about today. So just give me a minute while I make myself look less like a tomato. I think that's a little bit better. Um, so I wanted to play this for you real quick first. So let me just play this for you. I've played this before, but maybe some of you guys haven't heard it. And we're going to start with testing. So I wanted to start here with this video. This was a hearing in Connecticut in March, right at the start of the COVID pandemic here in Connecticut. Now, this person you're going to hear talking is Matthew Carter. He is the state epidemiologist. And this is a legislator questioning him. And I want you to take a look at this, and we're going to jump right into it. So this is Matthew Carter. This is the state of Connecticut. This is at the coronavirus hearing in March before we found ourselves where we are today. So take a look.
What is the percentage of people we're actually going to be testing for coronavirus that are showing symptoms? Are we sort of rationing out who we can test? Because I know you said it could be the flu, it could be cold. It could be
This is true for all laboratory tests that are done. They should only be done on people who are sick, because that's what was mentioned earlier. Testing somebody who's not sick is much more likely to give you a false positive than anything else. So in medicine, as a rule, we don't test people who are not sick. This is not a test for, are you a carrier of this virus? The reason to do this test is actually to establish a diagnosis in people who are sick, so we know who has coronavirus infection and who has some other cause for their illness.
So, okay, you heard that right there from, let me see, make sure I'm not muted here. So that was the state of Connecticut epidemiologist Matthew Carter. And so you heard him say that it's not common practice to be testing people who aren't sick. That's just a common medical thing. That you don't go out and get a flu test to see if maybe you have the flu. I mean, that's never happened. The flu virus is a pretty serious virus for some people. And we've been dealing with the flu virus and vaccines, and there's science all around the flu virus and vaccines and whatnot. And we've never had a flu virus pretest, which is what the COVID test, all this testing that we're hearing about all the time. Oh, their testing is up, the testing is up. They're testing on people who aren't necessarily sick. And in fact, a lot of those people are just getting tests that are asymptomatic. So interestingly enough, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, and I've talked about this a lot with my friend Victoria Eloise, who I will be live with tomorrow. And I'm gonna go through some things that I'm gonna re-ask her and retouch on, because this is so very deep as we get into this, because I want to talk about the testing and who is conducting the tests and how the First Lady of Connecticut, here she is, Annie Huntress Lamont. Okay, this is her company, Oak HCFT, which stands for Oak Healthcare and FinTech. So that's healthcare and financial technology. That's her lady herself, Annie Huntress Lamont. How does she relate to the COVID testing? Well, she has a very big relationship to the COVID testing, and so does Josh Gabal, who is, the right hand in all of this as well. He was quoted in a paper recently as talking about how the police really wanted the governor to start fining people for not wearing masks. I don't believe that. Do you believe that? I don't believe that. So yeah, Josh Gabal. So Josh Gabal, let me not get ahead of myself too much. Let's just go down here with Annie Lamont. So interestingly, how she relates to the COVID testing is her company, Oak Healthcare Financial Tech, FinTech, Oak Healthcare FinTech, is a venture capitalist company that's worth $8.5 billion. Okay, that's how many assets they've acquired and investments that they've raised and all that good stuff. So her connection is that there's a connection. You've got Thermo Fisher, and we're going to get into why that's important in a second. Sema4, and we'll get into that, why that's important in a second. And like I said, Victoria will take us through this rabbit hole in a beautiful way. She's thoroughly researched this subject. So I'm just going to be scaling on the surface of the importance of this. We did an explosive show last week, and unfortunately was not able to broadcast on Facebook. So if you haven't seen that show, you can find it on my YouTube channel at J Cherry Presents on YouTube. Hopefully you can find it by searching that. I should put a link in the comments, but all my show notes are in the comments, so you can follow this. If you're coming in later and losing me, you can follow all this, and I will and you can follow those links and articles about Sema4, Thermo Fisher, Josh Gabal, and Annie Lamont. Okay, my favorite villains. So let's get into a little bit here. Here's somebody new that I recently found. This is Andrew Adams. Now, why he is important is he is a partner at Oak HCFT. And why I'm showing you him is that it's on his page. You're not going to find this on Annie's page, but it specifically links. I'm going to take you down one more step here. So this is all still our new guy here, with Andrew. Andrew's the new villain of the day. Well, he's not a villain. He's a partner with Annie at Oak Healthcare FinTech. So the interesting thing about this guy here is that his prior investments and what he's kind of invested in, where he's gotten money from, he lists Thermo Fisher Thermo Fisher Scientific, and he also is listing here the Sema4 connection. So Sema4 and Thermo Fisher, they're all connected into the testing here. And I'm going to get more into that with Victoria tomorrow. We're going to dive deeper into how that all relates and the Sema4, because it's all really tangled up when you start to get into digging it down this financial rabbit hole. Like if you follow the money, you get where this is going. So they're all connected via the testing. So Thermo Fisher, while that's really important, is there was this big scandal recently. I'm going to pull this slide up for you guys. So there's this big scandal recently. Hopefully I got it on the right slide here. Let me just pull this up for you. Okay, check out this headline. This is from the FDA. Risk of inaccurate results with Thermo Fisher Scientific TAC Path COVID-19 combo kit. What is that? What is that even? Okay, another amazing fact here with all of this, okay? Thermo Fisher, Sema4, all the testing, all of it. It doesn't even matter, even if they're not the only testers, okay? I'm just concentrating on this because this is in relationship to Annie Huntress Lamont, Governor Ned Lamont, the state of Connecticut, and a test that the FDA, which I just showed you here, guys, that the FDA has had risk of inaccurate results with Thermo Fisher Scientific. Okay, so how does this connect? So they have holdings. They have financial interest in Semaphore. They have financial interest in the Thermo Fisher, who is the testing, and Josh Cabal. Let's get into that too. I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'm going to connect all the dots here for you. I got another. This is an article out of the Hartford Courant. Okay, so this was just not that long. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. This is Josh Cabal. Let me just stick on Josh Cabal then. So this is Josh Cabal. His background includes leadership roles with several technology-oriented companies, including as vice president and general manager of Thermo Fisher Scientific, a multinational scientific technology company. And he was the chief executive officer of Core Informatics, a software startup focused on scientific data. That all connects because they were once, like, they get gobbled up. So Thermo Fisher got gobbled up or was gobbling up the Core company as well. So we'll get deeper into that with Victoria. I'm going to have her just take me down that, do like a little bit of a recap on some of the important things that she's discovered in her research of where following the money in the state of Connecticut, how it connects to Annie Lamont, and how this is affecting your life. So when we think about what the governor is doing lately, and even school closings, somebody goes in, they test positive for these tests, and they're not all Thermo Fisher, so I don't want you to think that. There have been problems with Thermo Fisher testing, and the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I want to point to their, A, the fact that the tests are not accurate, B, the connection between Annie Lamont and Ned Lamont's conflict of interest with her company, Oak HCFT, which is Oak Healthcare FinTech, okay? Just let that name speaks volumes, doesn't it? This is an $8.5 billion company, venture capitalist company, making its billions in the healthcare industry, okay? So her fingerprints are all over COVID-19 and all of the restrictions and lockdowns that her husband, the governor, is operating via executive power without oversight of our legislature. This is unprecedented in the history of Connecticut. It is absolutely unprecedented. This has never, ever happened before. Not only that, it is unprecedented to test healthy people, as I showed you when I started off this video, that with the state epidemiologist Matthew Carter saying that it's common practice to not test healthy people because of false positives and false negatives too. It can go both ways, but false positives, because one of the things when these tests, if you have a low viral load, it's not picking up. It's gonna not show accuracy there. It could give you a false positive. Like it could pick up, first of all, the test is not even FDA approved. Let's just get into that. So the novel, and I'm saying, I want you to pay attention to my language here. The novel COVID has not been isolated via a PCR test. I have a whole other article and a show that I'm going to do on that. I should have pulled those clips into this as well. Unfortunately, I wasn't thinking about that, but there's a whole article that came out in the New York Times talking about the PCR test. So anyone can do this, and I believe I put a link in the show notes to the FDA where you yourself can go and look at the FDA, and you can look at the EU's and the authorization. There's new authorizations all the time. Predictive testing, that's what they call it. But listen to this. Predictive testing. Okay, what does that even mean? Predictive testing. You can't predict if somebody is going to get sick. We're all different. This is crazy. When you're a healthy person, you're not carrying disease. Even Anthony Fauci said it himself. There is a video clip of him saying this where he says that asymptomatic people are not the ones that are spreading epidemics, okay? Sick people are more likely to spread their germs, okay? That's, just common. That if you're going out and you're coughing and sneezing, you're more than likely to infect somebody with all of your viral load. Although we could get into the germ theory versus terrain. That's for a whole nother show. Very interesting. I'm just scratching the surface of that. But let's get back to the test. The Thermo Fisher Semaphore. I'm sorry, we're just looking at my notes again because this is so dense, guys. I mean, it's just like really, really, really intense. So let me see. I'm going to pull up this next slide. Bear with me as I'm squinting. I just want to pull up the right slide. I had labeled some of them and then some I didn't. So here we go. This is the Hartford Courant. Okay, so this is a Hartford Current article about discovering the Thermo Fisher glitch. Let's take a read. The state has conducted more than 650,000 tests for COVID-19 since March. There have been about 48,000 confirmed cases. Gifford said only a small percentage of the state's tests would have run through the Thermo Fisher system, which the state began using on June 15th. Because of that, Guilford said that the patients who have tested positive for corona should assume that they do have the virus. The Thermo Fisher system's error was discovered when Public Health Lab Director Jafar Razik and his team were working to validate pool testing, which is the process of testing a large number of specimens at one time in order to validate that the team had to use specimens they were already known to be positive. So it's really, really interesting about this is let me show you the next part of this article. Then I'll make my comment. Here we go. Sorry about that. If it had not been for us looking into the pool testing to use some of these previously known positive samples, there were no indications that any of these reported positive results would have been questioned, Razik said. There was nothing for us to question the results that we had if it was not for the pool testing. After the discovery, DPH notified both Thermo Fisher and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration officials. On Friday, the same day that DPH sent in notifications, the FDA modified the instructions for the Thermo Fisher system. So there's a link to that article. I put that there for you so that you can go read that yourself at the Hartford Current. And not one place in this article in the Hartford Current does it mention Annie Lamont's connection to the Thermo Fisher testing. Doesn't mention Josh Gabal. Doesn't mention any of that. In fact, what the article does say is that they believe that there wasn't that many people tested using the Thermo Fisher testing. They believe that. Do you believe that they believe that? Do you believe that? I mean, let's just take another look. Just take another look at this, guys, okay? I want you to take a look at this, okay? It said, if it had not been for us looking into the pool testing to use some of the previous known positive samples, there were no indications that any of these reported positive results would have been questioned. So, do you believe that the DPH only used a few of the Thermo Fisher tests that were inaccurate, that the FDA has put a warning out? You could go look this up yourself. You can also see it in the show notes that I put into the comments. Go look for yourself. Draw your own conclusions. Do you believe the DPH? Do you think that it was just a small bit? It was only just a few? And we reported it right away into the FDA and a Thermo Fisher so they could correct it. Well, they're still using that test, okay? That test is still being, the FDA put out a warning. But all of this is a wild, wild west of COVID because the EUA, which is, I'm going to explain what that is. So the EUA, that's issued by the FDA. So an EUA stands for Emergency Usage Authorization. And you can see in my show notes and go check out the links yourself and you can see how they describe what an EUA is and what that means. So in layman terms, that basically means they're shooting in the dark. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know. Okay, they're guessing. There's all these companies coming in applying for EUAs. You got to take a look at the list. You have to just go onto the FDA website and take a gander. It's all open information. You could read what they've approved, what companies have been approved for the EUA. They have predictive devices, okay? Predictive medical devices. There's one EUA for an ICU. There's a medical device for the ICU so that you could stay away from your COVID patient and you can literally predict how they're going to do with this medical device. And you can be out of the room and predict and medicate them and take care of them via this predictive machine that the FDA gave an EUA for. So it's not just the testing. Everything in the COVID Wild West of the FDA is under an EUA, which is quite fascinating because you would think that there would be some kind of isolated, they would have isolated the novel COVID virus, which they have not. They have not isolated that. They have not isolated via the standard way that it is isolated, which is a PCR test. They have not isolated the COVID-19 virus. In fact, what they're using for the vaccine is a patented, genetically modified virus protein. I kid you not. I kid you not. So I'll get more into that. I don't want to get too deep. This stuff is so dense. Sometimes it makes my head spin. So let's keep on going. I got another slide that I want to show you guys. Okay. This is just great. Oh, sorry. Jumping ahead of myself. So this is the Hartford Courant. I just wanted to get back into, where did I put there? Josh Gabal there. What did I do with him? Let me hold on a second as I get this slide up. So that's the FDA saying that there's a risk. And I thought I had the Josh Gabal up there. What did I do with him? Oh, no, that's Senator Anwar. He's getting a flu shot. I'm looking for my Josh Gabal. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for either. Did I not upload those? That's a pain. I may not have uploaded that. And that is a wicked pain. And I apologize for that a lot. So Josh Gabal, and I can't do that while I'm live. It didn't go through. So I just had a slide basically showing Josh Gabal's connection. He was the VP of Thermo Fischer, and he is heavily involved with all of these companies. And you can see that for yourself in my show notes as well. So I apologize that I thought I put the slide in there, but I did not. Now I'd like to jump ahead into something else that I learned today that is really, really quite disturbing. And this is the slide that I came across. So the connection here that we're getting is all the testing and all the stuff that they're doing leads to more executive orders. And now the question remains that the press is not asking, how accurate are these tests? What about the false positive, the false negative ratio, and the fact that this governor is operating without the legislative body, making all of these mandates and now fining people? But not only that, not only is he fining people for not wearing masks, for creating events, and I don't even know what he means by events. Is that rallies and protests? Because that totally goes against our basic constitutional rights. But not only that, this man, it's even worse than that. Take a look at this. I'm sorry, wrong slide. Take a look at this. This is just released today. So this is a new executive order. So children 3 years of age and older are required to wear masks while in child care programs. Effective September 21st, they'll be continuing during the duration of the public health and civil preparedness emergency, unless earlier modified by the Commissioner of Early Childhood, that all these little kids, they now need to be masked up to go to pre-K. They're going to be masking 3-year-olds. At what point do you say to yourself, enough is enough, this is over the top? These little kids, they're going to be masking in little kids, little 3-year-olds. What? How do you do that? How do you mask a 3-year-old child? How is that even possible? And now all of a sudden, and I'm just trying to point out to you the connection with the Thermo Fischer, the Annie Lamont, the corruption within our state, the money they're making on the COVID testing, COVID tracing, all this. Go and look up Oak HCFT for yourself. Draw your own conclusions. I put a bunch of links in my show notes that you can see. Sorry if you're on YouTube, I'll post those links later. And also on Twitter, I will post those in the thread. I'll create a thread on Twitter and get those links out to you as well. Just take me a minute. It's easier to do on Facebook. I apologize for that. So this is just mind-blowing. So I have something that's really, really disturbing. And today I saw some things on my feed that were very upsetting, like how they were taking people who didn't wear masks and making them bury dead people. It was just in India, and there are people posting and calling those who question masking and not wanting to mask their children idiots and bad people. And I'm like, this is really awful. It's just an awful climate that we find ourselves in. And at the end of the day, we should all honestly ask ourselves what is going on, and we're fighting each other is basically ignoring the common problem. So it shouldn't be about pro-maskers versus anti-maskers. That's all divisive nonsense. That all that does is put you on a team A and team B to fight. What the problem is, it's the government mandating that. Hey, if you want to wear a mask, if that's what you want to do and you feel like safe and that, all the power to you. Go ahead and do that. Would never ever harass anyone for their personal medical choices. That's your affair. That's what you decide. But it's not about whether someone wears a mask or not. It's about the government enforcing this, saying that you have to. You have to do this because we said so, because the science doesn't support it. I don't, we can go back. I would love someone to challenge me. Go ahead. Give me some really good randomized controlled studies that say that there's a statistical significance for wearing a mask. And don't give me this nonsense that mask protects others. If it don't protect you, it ain't protecting anybody. It's like this. I've seen this analogy. And this is so crass. I apologize. But this is a perfect analogy. It's like putting on a bathing suit, jumping in a pool, and peeing in a pool, thinking that the pee is not going to affect the pool because you had a bathing suit on. Okay, a mask is a similar thing because we're in an environment. We're in an atmosphere. We are the air. Even though we can't see the air, it's an atmosphere where there's gravity. It holds us, it grounds us down. These are basic scientific principles, okay? So we're in an atmosphere and we breathe in the air. So basically, unless you're in a hazmat suit, unless you're perfectly fitted in a freaking hazmat suit, that mask is doing jack squat. Go ahead, prove me wrong. I would love to debate you. We could come on live. I'll bring you on live. All I request is that we have a respectful dialogue. The minute you start insulting me, I'm hanging up on you. But hey, if you got some good randomized controlled trials that you want to share with me that say that it's worth doing this to our society and having the governor fine people and mandate children, 3-year-old children, and fine people. So here he is saying, okay, we're going to fine you for violating the mask order. Governor Ned Lamont announced a new system of fines to be enforced against those who violate the COVID-19 guidelines. Okay, they include $100 for violating the mask order, $500 for organizing an event that exceeds size limits, and $250 for attending an event that exceeds size limits. The executive order is anticipated to be signed tonight with an effective date sometime this week. And that is per our lovely governor. So now I didn't want to jump quite here yet. I just wanted to go back up here. Sorry, guys. Let me just take you into here. So this is the new executive order here. This is requiring 3-year-old children to be wearing a mask, okay, in daycare settings. That was not the way it was before. That's a new order that King Lamont has issued for the poor children. This is unbelievable to put masks on a 3-year-old child. I don't understand the logic in that at all. But let's take a look here. This is something that I found online. Let's just take a look at this. This is something that you're going to find on the DPH. Actually, I found this on the education department. I put the link in there. This is on the education department website. Sometimes I wear my mask for fun. Yeah, masks are fun, right? When they're for Halloween. Sometimes masks make, they get covered for your eyes, your whole face, right? Doctors and nurses wear them. It gets weirder. Lots of people wear masks to stay healthy and strong. They wear them to keep their germs to themselves. Look at this. I am spending lots of time at home right now, but there will be a time I have to go somewhere like the store, and I will have to wear a mask. Look at this. Look at this. Unbelievable. There will be adults and children wearing masks when I am outside of my home. There we go. Masky, masky. They are wearing the mask to keep their germs to themselves. That's the second time that was said. This is a children's book, okay? Here we go. Look. The kids even got like rubber gloves on in the store, okay? This is nuts. Okay, my family or someone who cares about me might tell me to wear a mask. They want me to stay healthy and strong as they put sanitizer on their hands. I might wear my mask at the grocery store or riding the bus or going for a walk. This is like crazy. There are many different looking masks, which is fun. It's important to wear the mask correctly. So there you go. Little kids, right? Sometimes I don't need to wear a mask, like when I'm at home or playing outside at home. I'm going to leave you on that one, all right? Because, like, I just want you to pay attention to the language here, because language is really important with propaganda. Because this is what this is. This is propaganda for a child to convince your child to, make the children feel like it's good, make parents feel like it's good. But, you don't need to wear one when you're at home, right? We're coming to a point where when you have a governor behaving outside of the legislative body, whose wife just so happens to be deeply connected to the healthcare industry, the medical industry with Oak HCFT, Oak Healthcare FinTech. Her relationship and Josh Cabal's relationship, and I'm sorry that I did not have the slides I thought I had put of Josh Cabal, because a picture is definitely worth 1,000 words, where he was vice president of Thermo Fischer. He's very connected to all these companies that are producing the testing. There's companies producing the PPE that are connected to Annie Lamont and Josh Cabal. We did a show, Victoria Eloise and I, last week that was explosive, where she goes through all of the patents and does a connection with Josh Cabal and IBM, his relationship to IBM, and how the testing, how he has his fingers all over the pulse of this, so to speak. So when we look at the connections that are there, we have to ask why the media isn't asking about Thermo Fisher, why the media isn't pushing more to ask the governor about the conflicts of interest that his wife, who is an instrumental part of the reopen committee for Lamont, she is stacked at. Josh Cabal is a connection with Annie Lamont. We also have to say, like, with her partners here, I'm going to pull his picture up again. Like, why is it that this man here he is, this guy Andrew Adams, who has also financial interest and connections to these testing companies, to SEMA4, to Thermo Scientific, why isn't the press delving more into this? And how is it that our legislature is not doing what it needs to do to take their power back? So we as a community, unless we want to live under tyrants, unless we want to live under the threat of fines, unless we want to live, like, who's doing this? Who's going to enforce this? These mandates, these fines. And as you can see here, it says law enforcement, local chief elected official designees, and local public health. What does that even mean? Okay, when we look at the law, if somebody comes up to me, because I don't wear a mask in public, I can't wear a mask, all right? I've already got a complaint that I made against a business who I had shopped at all this time, never had a problem, no issues whatsoever, and then all of a sudden there was a problem. I'm not just going to take that sitting down, and I suggest nobody takes this sitting down. You're not some kind of bully. You're not looking for trouble because you're not wearing a mask. That's a nonsense lie. You got to hold your ground, because if you don't hold your ground, it's never going to end. Okay, do you understand? It's only going to get worse. Like Australia, I should pull up this video real quick, and I'm going to do that because I can. Like Australia, so I'm going to pull up this video real quick. They are in a mess, a big time mess, and I just want to share this with you because I want you to take a peek at what this is like. So what point do we say as a society, as citizens of this state, that we've just had enough of this? At what point? Because if you keep giving in to tyranny, if you keep submitting to it and saying, okay, I'm just wearing this mask because it'll help the virus go away, or I'm just going to I'll just do it for now, it's going to make it go away. It's not going to go away, guys. All right. If you allow these tyrants to continue like this, it's not going to go away. So I want to share this video with you. If I can, let me go over here. Just bear with me as I'm switching this live in real time. I want to see if I can share it with you. Nope, that's not it. That's the fines, the lovely fines there that they can fine you with. And let me see if I can do that. It's hard to see here how I do the share screen. Bear with me, please. Here, nope, that's, uh-oh, maybe I can't share this video. Let me see something. Oh, I apologize. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, let me get this up here. So here is this video. Let me close that out. I don't want you reading my messages. Okay, so I'm going to play this video for you guys. Let me blow it up so you can see it better.
And why is that?
Because you're wearing a mask.
I have a medical exemption.
That's fine. You might have one, but at the moment, until you provide it, I don't know if you have the medical exemption. Therefore, I believe you may be committing an offence. So therefore,
Will you hold this for a
your
second?
name and address.
Can I just show you some paperwork as well?
Yeah, I'm happy to look at that, but I'm also need to identify you first.
Before I do that, as from the DHH's website, medical exemption. So can I read this? You do not need a medical certificate stating that you have a lawful reason not wearing a mask.
That's right.
If you have a lawful...
I understand the website. I've looked at the website. I understand everything on it. Well, that's fine, but I still need to identify you.
Why is it? Okay, so according to the Crimes Act, you can ask for my identity if I've committed an offence. Have I committed a crime?
I'm getting it wrong. If I believe on reasonable grounds,
I can read it for you. Listen to what he's
if I believe on reasonable grounds you've committed an offence, which is pretty reasonable. I see someone walking around without a mask. Pretty reasonable for Australian license to be committing an offence.
An offence.
456AA, Crimes Act, requires you to state your name and address for me.
456AA.
Correct.
It's committed, so you may request my name and address
Yeah.
on reasonable grounds if it has committed or is about to commit an offence.
Correct.
Alright, so what's the offence that I've committed?
Under the Health and Wellbeing Act, right, you need to wear a mask.
That is
Okay?
a directive. That's not
You
a
need to
law.
wear a mask.
That's
okay?
a directive, so law. I've got a medical exemption right here.
Show us the
Okay,
medical
I've got a
exemption, that's all you need to do.
And you
that's-
promise to leave me alone then?
And that's what we asked you in the first place.
you go.
You had to make an example. We
Yeah,
just
no,
not
I
all
don't
we
want
asked
to make an
for.
example. I'm just
Listen,
sick and tired of
that's
my
not
rights
right,
being...
I understand. All we asked for was for your permit. And you said to me, you go, I've got a permit. That's fine. Show me your permit. We would have driven away by now.
No, that's good.
That's all I needed to do
I just
now.
don't want my rights walked all over.
We're not walking all over your rights, mate.
If you are stopped by the police, they will ask you to confirm your lawful reason.
All right, we know all this.
So we've told you.
We've got to see the permit.
So you're going against the health
And
department.
I don't have to show you that at all. Under the Health and Wellbeing
No, I
Act,
don't.
right?
I don't.
You need to have
Where does it show that? That's a website. Have a look.
You don't have to show me that.
Yeah.
You still have to state your name and address.
I don't have to state my name. So I'm not committing any
Look,
offence.
I'm not going to get into an argument.
Well, I
Let's
don't
agree
want
to
to.
disagree.
That's why I'm reporting this as
Let's
well,
agree
because
to
I don't have
disagree.
to show you my name and address.
You
If
do.
I haven't committed an offence,
Look, if you didn't-
you've got no legal right Listen to to ask what me he's for telling things. you.
I want your names, by the way.
Mate, not a problem.
But
Josh
in writing
Perkins
too.
from the
In
State
writing.
Highway
I need-
Patrol.
You are required to put it in writing to me.
Yeah, that's
Your
correct.
name.
Yeah,
If you
not a
have
problem.
something I can write on, I'll give it to you.
No, you guys have got all of these, so I'm just going to go in here and get some stuff from the market.
I'm happy if you want to write it down in your phone.
I don't have it.
You do have a phone because you're
I've got a
recording.
recording.
And I'm more than happy to tell you again my name and where I'm from. Again, not a problem at all. As I said, mate, you're standing out without a mask. You mates are drinking, they've got smokes. That's fine, right? I understand that that's what people have to do. You're standing there, you're not drinking, you're not smoking. Under that Health and Wellbeing Act, we need to see that if you've got a mask. You straight away said, I've got a permit. Magnificent. To clarify that, we need to get your name and address. That's,
Why do you clarify?
That's all
Why do
you
you need
needed
to clarify?
That's all
that?
you needed to do.
Why do you need my name and address to clarify my that is such an abuse of my rights.
My friend has already told you why, okay? So that's all you had to do, mate. And we would have been gone.
Can you write down their names and badge numbers on your phone, mate?
If you actually look right there, you'll have it.
Okay.
Okay? And then you can do the same to...
So, and I'll cut it off there. It goes on for another couple of minutes, and the guy knows his rights. He's able to like walk away without getting arrested. But lots of people in Australia have been arrested for not wearing a mask on a public street. And just to clarify for people, I have a friend in Australia who's been writing to me daily, and I would love to bring her live online and she just isn't comfortable because it's so risky there. And I can totally relate to that. But she's been sharing with me a lot of this information from Australia. No, Australia wasn't always like this. And Australians still have rights that their government is ignoring. So I'm closing out with that video because I want you to start to think about that, Connecticut, because when your governor starts to issue these mandates and violate the law, when does it go too far for you? When is enough enough? Is it enough when it's this? Is that enough for you to like wake up and smell the coffee? Does this make you happy? Is this something that makes you feel secure? You're like, yeah, go get them. If that is your attitude, I suggest you sit down and do some serious reflection and to really dive deep into randomized controlled studies on masking, because we've been dealing with the flu influenza forever. And I love when people say they bring up the 1918 flu and masking. Let me tell you, since 1918, people have been looking at masks. And I'm going to tell you this, masks don't work. They don't work. Prove me wrong. I'm happy to have you prove me wrong, but they just don't work. There's hypothesis, there's meta-analysis, there's coulds, there's maybes. That's not enough to make a mandate. It's not about anti-maskers versus pro-maskers. That's a nonsense talking point. It's about the government mandating medical procedures over your body. And I want you to think real hard on this one. If the government is going to mandate masks, what else are they going to mandate? How far does it go? Because let me tell you something. In New Jersey, their governor has a bill actually coming up, and there's something going on September 24th. Well, I'm not sure if this bill is going to hit the floor. They're going to be voting on it. This is in New Jersey. Their capital is in Trenton. And the people there are already organizing. But their New Jersey governor plans on mandating the flu shot. The flu shot is not very efficacious. And it is the #1 vaccine reported to the Vaccine Adverse Reporting System, known as VAERS. There are some big risks to the flu shot. It's not like, oh, it's just a flu shot. We want to be like Senator Amwar and get our flu shot. Like this guy over here. Oops, sorry, that's Hawaii. I gave him the wrong things over here. Oops, that's more masking. I'm sorry. I'm not getting to the right slides. I got too many in here. Here he is. Senator Anwar. He's getting his flu shot. Virtue signaling to you to get yours. He's such a good Samaritan. What a good citizen. He cares about your health. He's looking out for you. No, he's not. No, he's not. That's propaganda, okay? No, he's not. I question whether he's even really getting that flu shot or is just taking an opportunity for a photo op. Hey, maybe he is. That's his business, though. Everybody is unique and different, and the government does not have the authority nor the right to legislate over your sovereign body, okay? We have the Nuremberg Code for a reason. I want you to think about the Nuremberg Code. I want you to think about how we got the Nuremberg Code. I want you to think about where we are today. So if you sit there and you accept that masking is just okay, A-okay, what's the big deal? And then we start to look at the SEMA4 and the testing and Josh Cabal and all this stuff. You have to say to yourself, what is going on? Do you really honestly trust your government? Our government here in Connecticut is connected to the SEMA, to Thermo Fischer testing that is giving false information, false positives, okay? Annie Lamont has huge conflicts of interest. She is helping the governor to govern our state. Chew on that one for a moment. I'll be live tomorrow with Victoria, and we're gonna go back a little bit to where we were last week. I got some more questions for her because the research that she uncovers is really dense and pretty intense. So I'll be live with her tomorrow. Till then, stay strong, Connecticut.